Hello and welcome to Bluebird Lane Creations. My name is Tiffany and it's time to get creative. So this is part 2. We're making a junk journal. We're making it from scratch. In part 1 I showed you guys some of the papers that I pulled to put this together, and we made 3 different signatures in that video. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to try some new things. We may not succeed the way I hoped, but I think in the end we'll get there. We're going to do 2 things today primarily, and that is to prepare the book binding for these to get sewn into, and then to prepare our cover. And we're going to glue the binding. Once the signatures are sewn to it, we will glue that binding into the book cover itself. So I'm hoping I have enough time. Today I'm not quite sure. We're just going to run until I'm done, because I don't think this will take as long as I'm hoping it doesn't take very long. So a couple things that I did off screen between the last time we were together. I did take this is my vintage photo. Sorry, I keep my thing on here because I use this one the most. Tim Holtz Distress Ink Vintage Photo. This is probably most often used to distress edges, but really there is a variety of colors. There's a darker color, walnut, that I use, and he has so many colors out, but primarily I use this one because it does look the most vintage when you ink around the edges, and I literally am just kind of brushing the edges like this and getting a little bit of that off on these edges. So you can see here that I went around these edges. This was that page that I tore last time. I have one awkwardly torn page and the rest seem pretty square. We'll figure that out as we go. So I did go ahead to save some time. I have inked around all of the edges of this. So if you see that done, I did that off camera. To prepare for today and to keep the video shorter, I did prepare a book binding. I'm going to show you real quick how I did this. Let me set these signatures aside. We're going to get back to that. So I have, now you can use cereal box. Me and my husband are cutting some carbs, and so we don't have a lot of these boxes around that we might normally. I thought I had one that was long enough for this book, and I didn't. But I have these 12 by 12. These are pretty thick. This is a chipboard. Some people might call it a book board, but it's just a very thick, thicker than a cereal box. Actually, I think this is probably like twice the thickness. So I have used I have an X-Acto knife. I put a cutting mat down and I measured my book and where I wanted this to fall, and I took my X-Acto knife and I cut this out. It took a couple passes, and I use with that a metal ruler. It's not perfect, but I use this metal ruler as a guide. Do not use plastic. You will cut into your ruler. So, and then I was really surprised how nice this looks, because I kind of eyeballed this. I looked and decided, based on the width here, that I would go about 3/8 of an inch on each one. You can see this one and this one are a little bit wider than this one and this one. I don't care. And then I centered it, and then I went out from there. And this is going to fit. You saw my book that we're going to use here. This I measured to fit in here. Now I left some space on each side because I want my book to be able to fold up nicely. So we're going to leave that space in there for this to move around, and we're going to be gluing this in. I'm going to try a little bit different of a method today, because I'm going to glue this material onto here first and then kind of poke my holes, I think. So bear with me. We're going to do a number of things differently today. Let me get just a piece of, where's my scrap paper, or my scrap cardboard that I use. We're just going to use this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put Fabri-Tac all over this, and we're going to start. I think this is just a little bit longer, so what I'll do is I'll put some Fabri-Tac on this, and then I'm going to put it down on this, kind of centering it as best I can, and then you'll see how we put that in the book later. But for now, I just want to get this piece down so that it can start. This Fabri-Tac really holds pretty quickly, so sometimes when you haven't used it in a few days, it kind of clogs up, but we will get it going here. One way or the other, Fabri-Tac. We are going to do this. So I'm going to just get some all over this. It doesn't have to be really thick. If I get some thick areas, I kind of smooth them out a bit. But sometimes it takes a good squeeze to get it flowing. I am trying to get all the way to the edges because I do want this to stick down all the way. Get a little bit between these circles because I do plan on poking through those again. And let's see what we can do here. Get a little more down here. Okay, get this on there. So we'll set that Fabri-Tac aside. I have a feeling we're going to be using a bit of that today. I might have to make that hole a little bit bigger. And I'm going to lay my fabric out, and we are going to flip this over. And I'm just eyeballing this. I want it to be centered kind of sideways and end to end here. And then I'm going to quickly flip it over because I'm gonna just smooth this out. And actually, if you have a old credit card or anything, you can take anything that has the ability to kind of smooth out a little, and you could get that a little bit smoother just by kind of skirting along it. This is pretty good. It's definitely nice and smooth, if you can see that. So I'm going to leave that sit for just a minute. I'll leave that to Cricut. I don't know what this is called. Spatula. It's for vinyl and other things, but I just grab what's handy. We don't always have all of the same tools, but I've seen people use credit cards, like old credit cards, to do that, and that would be perfectly fine. If I had one, I'd probably be using that also. So now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to, I have a book block. So this is actually the book that came out of the cover that we're using. There's a couple things like that I've seen people save the bookbinding pieces and use this part to make little clusters out of. So I might peel that off eventually and do that. But right now I use the pages, but I also am using this to puncture holes. You can see my holes from earlier when I pierced the original holes here. But I'm just going to kind of go backwards and press down to get this through, and then I will flip it and do the same on the other side where these holes are visible at. And hopefully they are visible because I've never done it this way before, live in front of you, because that's the adventurous way. It lets you know that we're not all perfect, and I don't really edit too much out of my video unless I were to start coughing or something, or the dogs bark. But you can barely see these. I can see them, but you're probably like, where is she going with this? So I'm just going to poke these reverse so I can see them better when I'm getting ready to stitch them. Yeah, all right, where are these these ones. There they are. And I'm just kind of swirling it around just to get the fabric to kind of stick in the hole just enough to where I can see it when I get ready to sew onto this. This is probably not the ideal way, but I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to do my cover, and I don't know, I just felt like trying this. I'm sure there are people watching going, oh, that would be so much easier. And please tell me the video, like link me to the video and I'll watch. But this time I'm doing it today. So I think you can maybe, let's see if you can see these on camera at all right here, these little holes in the fabric. Now they're pressed through. So I'm going to put my book block to the side. And we are just about ready to start stitching these in. And actually, I'll bring that book block back because I think that I'm going to have to press these through the middle. So first of all, I want to make sure that all three of my signatures are going the way that I want them, because they're going to go onto this that way. Okay, so I'm checking each signature to make sure that the pages that do have writing or do have a digital print are right side up. This is probably one of the most common mistakes, is accidentally sewing something in upside down. Nothing more frustrating. So I'm checking it. I'm going to flip it over this way, and I'm going to check this one, and I'll know that that's all upright. And then I'm going to check this last one, and yep, it looks like this one's good to go as well. All right, so we've checked that. I'm going to set them off to the side, and I'm just going to pull one at a time, and we're going to do this. I think I'm going to start for this back. So I'm going to flip these upside down. I'm going to grab the farthest back one, and all I'm going to do here is make sure that the papers look like they're where I would like them to be, in conjunction to where the holes are in my book binding here. And I'm going to find my center, which I think is here. Where are we at? There we go. Okay, so that's my center, and I'm pressing all the way in. Now, I've seen folks use little clips, and we can certainly do that, where as you're sewing this in, you're kind of you want to clip it so that nothing moves. So I've got it all the way down, and I'm going to clip these sides on so things do not shift. And I'm going to bring this one up, and I'm going to clip my other sides as well. So I'm going to clip all four sides of this one. Or I'm sorry, not all four sides. You know what I mean. All four sections. Clip those together just so that the papers don't shift around. Now I have a little bit flexibility with letting go. I apologize, I forgot to open my, this is waxed cord. So this one in particular is white. It comes in all sorts of colors. I'm not quite sure if there's a reason to prefer wax over, I'm not a booksmith. Certainly there's people out here that may answer. If you know, please definitely comment and let us know why the wax is preferred. But I do know that the people I watch have used wax, so I'm using wax. And I just bought this at my local craft store. This one was $3.30, but it was on sale half off, so it was a good deal. And I'm gonna be pulling about 3 lengths of my book, maybe a little bit more, because this is the first time I've sewn in like this. Get my scissors here and cut that. Now I have these are tapestry sewing needles. I I don't even know if these are the right ones. This is what I grabbed to do this. So I'm just going to kind of get this ready. But before we do that, I'm going to poke holes in this with my awl. And an awl is this tool. Some people use, I mean, really you can use any pokey tool. These are pretty inexpensive. I just found mine on Amazon. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the center, and I'm going to kind of eyeball where that is, and I'm just gonna go for it here. I'm trying to get through all these layers. So, and you see I've got that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to line up with my hole here. And I'm going to, in order to kind of hold this in place, I'm going to push through and go through this spine as well. And we're just going to get this center piece held in place. And this is the tough part. This is where you got to have little muscles. We're going to pull that through. We're leaving, a bit because we're going to be tying these off in here. So definitely want to leave space for that. Now, there's a number of different methods for tying these together and which direction to go. If you want your tie to be visible in the center of your book, you start in the center of your book. If you want it to be behind your binding, then you would start from the outside. So now I'm going to come in through this other hole here. And let's see. This is where I said I've never done this method before. We are going to learn together. So I'm going to hold this here, and I just kind of want to see. So we're going right there. So I'm somewhat eyeballing this. There's probably a way better method out there, but I figured I would, I'm going to do this on camera so that we can all kind of learn together. And like I said, someone will link me a video or something of someone doing this that, has an easier method. But let's see. Oh, let me use my awl. I'm sorry, I'm trying to press with the needle. I'm like, no wonder this is hard. Okay, let's go through all of those papers. And now I want to come up. I'm going to do this so you can see it. So I'm going to come up through this one here. And then because I've got my clips holding this all together, I'm hoping that we can get through this direction fairly easy. I mean, it still takes a little muscle, but, and I know this thing's moving all over. It'll get easier as we get this one signature in. The other signatures I think are going to be much easier. We're going to tighten that up. And then now I'm going to skip the center one because we came through here, and I'm looking at this one here. And so I am going to go right about there. I'm going to get my owl, and I got to get off of my fabric, and we're going to get this all the way through. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hit the camera. These are rookie mistakes. Video 3. So, all right. And we've got, let me pull this tight. We've got that paper. We're going to go all the way down to this one now. And I'm going through the book, through the signature and into the book binding. So now I'm just going to pull that through, kind of wiggle it. And we're tightening that down. So I'm going to hold this string, and I'm pulling this tight. I want to make sure, see, this is loose. We're going to tighten that up by pulling here. So we want this one tight, pulling here, and then we're going to go back into our center and up through the center of the book, or the signature, sorry. Make sure I'm in the right spot here. All right, let's make sure this is tight. And I see I had more string, more wax cord than I needed, but with that being said, this is my first time doing it this way. I wanted to make sure I had enough, and I'm going to do a square knot. So I crossed over that way. Now I'm going to cross over this way and do my square knot. I'm pulling that tight, and then I can cut these down. You can leave them long if you want to have dangles. I might choose to do that, so maybe I'll leave these long for a minute. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that. So now this is sewn to that book binding. See how straight that is? Tight, not overly tight. You don't want them pulling through, but taut. So there's a little bit of give here. And now I can take these off. I may decide to clip 2 of these together here so that I can, sew the other ones in without any obstruction. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew these other 2 in, and then we will come back. I'm just not going to make you watch me struggle through that 2 more times. So I'll get those sewn in, and then we'll join back up here. Hold tight. All right, we're back. I have 3 signatures sewn to this binding. It's not perfect, but it's going to work. My signatures clearly are not all the same height, which is okay. I like the varying sizes. The edges, we'll do stuff with this as we decorate as well. But the important part is that they're all sewn in here. This one's a little looser than I'd like, but it'll be okay because when we glue that, it's going to hold a little bit too. All of the pages that I wanted right side up, I have, oops, of course it would appear that way. All of the pages that I wanted right side up are right side up. So I'm going to move these downward so I can know where my bottom is. Make sure I glue it in the cover the right way. So our signatures, this is done for now. We will be gluing this in, but we're going to move on to the actual, we're going to move on to the cover. So I'm going to set some of this stuff aside, and we are going to, let's see, what I'm going to do, I have cut pieces for my cover already. This is the material I'm going to use. This came from a very tiny skirt that I found at a thrift shop, a charity shop here in Salem, Oregon. I like this color that we are doing in this journal. I realize that these colors would not typically go together. I think how I'm going to put them in here, they will. So I'm not too worried about it because this is the cover, and then on the inside I have these to separate it, and I think that it's going to work out okay. So bear with me. Let's see how it all, and then I've got some lace to break things up. So let's just get going on this so that we don't have a ton of time here clocked in. So let me hitch up my sleeves. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do this in sections. So let me look again here on how I want this. I'm going to make sure that I am just over a hair here. I will end up kind of mitering these corners a bit, so that when we get to the other side here, what I don't want, I'm just trying to lay this in here. I don't want to have to fold here and then double fold here, because see, that's really clunky. What I'm going to do is, once I have this glued flat on here, I'll turn it back over like this, and before we glue the edges, I'm going to miter the corners. So let's just, we want, you know, about, I don't know, inch or so all the way around. This is not cut square. My cutting skills on a skirt to a square flat piece are needs room for improvement. So I'm just going to start on, luckily this pattern really doesn't have a right side up, so I'm not too worried about that. This is the right side up of the book, but we're just going to start on one side, and I'm going to slowly glue it down going over. So I'm just going to start here, and again, I'm using that Fabri-Tac. I feel like I'm going to need a little bit more. I'm going to cut my Fabri-Tac to be a little more giving, because we're going to need it here. So I'm just going to glue this edge first and get a, I don't know, a good 2 inches or so all the way to the edges. And then I'm going to take this and I want to lay it on there, leaving myself approximately a 1-inch border. So it's not absolute, but I need it to feel like it's going to be that way all the way around. So I'm going to smooth this. I could even take my little Cricut tool here and get some smoothing action. I don't want to snag any of this, so I'm just going really lightly. And I'm just kind of rubbing that over, smoothing the glue out underneath. And once we feel that that's good, we're going to flip it back. And we're just going to start from there and keep going. Probably do a couple inches each time. Oh, that was really, well, now this I got a lot there, so I'm going to smooth it this way. When I go to smooth this next section, we'll just kind of go this way. And we'll take our stuff and kind of pull it. Just see how it's kind of bunching? That's what I don't want. So I'm just kind of do this slowly, get the glue moving, and lay this flat. It's going to be perfect when we're done. And get a little more here. Now this I'm just going to do up to the groove, and then we'll get some going in that groove. I'm going to get the edge here. I'm going to get right in this groove, a big bead of it. Let's get that up to that point. And I just want to really get it in there, in that groove, so that it has the ability to move with this book. Alright. Now we're on the spine here. Gently move that over. I'm trying not to pull it too much out of there, but yet I also want it to get all the way here. So smooth that out across, and then maybe even use the fatter end to really get that glued into that crevice. This won't matter too much because I do have some lace I'm going to lay over that, so more so I'm just trying to get this to lay flat all the way across. And I got some glue coming out here on my desk. Comes up pretty easily. So I'm not really worried about that, and let's keep going. hoping. Alright, I'm hoping that you guys don't hear too much background noise. Just realized that my crafting space was not very aerated, and this glue is, when you're using this much of it, it's pretty scent filled, and it's not exactly something you want to be breathing a ton of, I'm sure. It's probably warnings on the bottle. But I'm in a new crafting space, and so I'm kind of learning the ins and outs up here of how to aerate. I do have some really cool skylights in here, so I can open those, but they're farther than I wanted to go on this little break. Got a little wrinkles here that I want to get those smoothed out. We're at the home stretch here. And now I'm gonna be a little gentler on the glue, just kind of get it spread out a little, because I don't want a bunch oozing over the edge. But this is also our cover, so I do want it to lay nicely. I've decided if I'm putting something on this cover, but I am going to be doing some lace work, so. Alright, I'm going to get my lid here and get this closed up. Got fringe everywhere. Okay, now I think I need to lay the lace that I was going to lay over the spine here before, because if it's extra, I want it to fold under. So before I do anything with that side, I'm just going to make sure this folds. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. And I'm going to lay this back out here. We're going to put a little bit of lace on the spine area. What I have, oops, apologize for that. What I have picked out is this lace. I want to, because it's so thin, and I am going to be using, I could have sewn this on there and that would have been smart, but I'm not a great seamstress, and I wasn't sure, because I want to double this and have this kind of beautiful edge on both sides. I didn't want to accidentally sew it off, because you saw how we were stretching this over the cover. I definitely wanted to make sure that I was able to get this centered. So I'm going to cut off a little bit of this lace to go this way. And another strip that I plan on putting on this way. That way when we fold it to the other side, it will fold with us. So I'm going to come over here and get that Fabri-Tac again. Now I'm not going to need very much, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some here and kind of get my edge tacked down. Be careful, because I opened that top up a bit. This is coming out a little bit thicker, but that's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is kind of go underneath these flowers, and I'm going to tack a little bit on each of those areas. See how that does. I'm just kind of patting it. If I start rubbing this, it's going to come seeping through. So I just want it to grab and hold it in place. And then I'm going to do literally the same thing for the other side, just overlapping this area. So I could even I might do my flowers first, get some of this bigger part tacked where I want it. Sorry if you hear the dogs barking outside in the distance. Hopefully it's not very loud. Okay, I got those flowers. I'm going to turn this to make it easier for myself. And I'm just going to tack down right here. Just along the edge of this where I know it needs to go. Okay, let's get this closed up here. Got glue all over myself. This is why I don't wear any of my rings. But it's just because I get too much craft. I'm a messy crafter, but my craft room is, I'm probably like the cleanest person in my craft room. I always try to keep it really neat and tidy. I want to know where everything is at. And if I keep it a wreck, I'll never find anything. I'll get so frustrated. So I have a very tidy craft room. Okay, so this is going to be our back, which has the double seam, and then our front is over here because we turned it. And I'm just going to kind of make sure that this is laying flat. See how that's going to look? It's going to look very pretty. And we might do more to it. I haven't decided yet. I'm just trying to, I'm going to give this a minute to dry. Now, I have, for the inside of this book, I have cut panels that are going to go after we glue the inside down. So we've got these panels that I did cut out, and I have some lace that I'm going to use on the edge of the material that we used in the book binding itself. So we're on the home stretch here. Now, I am going to, just in case anything wants to stick to my table, I'm going to put my little piece of cardboard down, and I'm going to lay kind of cattywampus here. I'm going to lay catty corner on this. I might pick it up every now and again just to make sure I'm not sticking, but what I want to do is miter my corners. Now, everybody's going to have a different way. Mine are not going to be perfect, I can tell you that right now. But if you were to cut a square, okay, and we're going here to there, then you have a square, a 90-degree corner. A mitered corner is going slightly inward and cutting towards that same corner. So we want the material to end at the same place. So I just go by 90 degrees and then I turn my scissors just a hair and kind of angle in to that corner. Now, this might end up not looking awesome, but it might end up fine. I don't know. That's just how I know to miter corners from being, from making cards. And I'm going to try to do the same thing here. So hopefully I'm on screen, and I'm just going to turn a little and aim towards that same spot. This is just, all this is doing is taking the bulk out of the corners. And I kind of like this little frayed business. We'll see how that turns out too. And we're just coming in, getting to our 90-degree angle and turning the scissors just slightly. And same on this part. Give a little turn. And we have one more. 90 degrees, turn slightly. Sorry, I probably can't even see that. And I plan on saving these because I will use these in clusters for sure. These are leaving a lot of like strings behind, and those look really nice in clusters. So I'm just setting those aside, and got a lot of glue on my desk here, but that's okay. All right, we're not sticking, so that's good. I think we're gonna start gluing this side down. Let me just check. Oh yeah, I don't think that's gonna stick. So we're gonna keep going here. I know I've got glue everywhere. Okay, we are getting ready to glue some more. I'm gonna go through a whole bottle of Fabri-Tac on this if I need to. So I'm gonna start on, this is our front. Yep, this is our front. See, we don't have the overlap on this side, it's on the back. So I'm gonna glue this side down, and I will try to get some of these little frays out. They're sticking all over my lid. I just brush them on my floor and I clean up afterwards. So, all right, I'm gonna put a layer of glue in the crevice here that's gonna curve around the edge and up on this fabric. And what I'm going to do, now you can do this a number of ways, but one way you can do it is take your ruler to help you around the curve. So that just kind of, do you see that? I didn't even do hardly anything, but this just lays it flat against the book edge and helps you over that corner, or that edge, to lay that flat. So we've got a nice flat edge there because of the ruler helping us. And see how beautiful that is? So I think what I'll do is I'm going to do this other edge here. Get those edges done first. Getting some glue right there on that edge, and then out. Oops. Now the glue should help this fray stop, and also we're going to be gluing paper on top of the edges of that, so I'm not too worried about it. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to stick it right underneath here. I'm holding the book with my thumbs, and I'm just turning that over that edge. And, I got some glue on my ruler, but then we can just kind of smooth it out a little bit. All this fray is going to get covered, so I'm not worried about it. Just want that edge to look real nice. All right, so this is our front. These are our edges. They're looking really good right now. And I'm going to do the top and bottom. So I'm just going to turn it this way because it's easier for me to glue. We will do the same thing we did on the other sections. Get this glue really well in the nooks and crannies here. Oops. What I should have out is one of my baby wipes. So I have little like wet wipes that I use for wiping my hands while I work, but we will worry about that later. So we got that straight edge down. I'm going to make sure it's really in this little groove here. Make sure we're all flat. And you see these mitered corners? They're coming together really nice. This one's got a little bit of fray there. I'm just going to use like the tiniest bit of leftover glue on the bottle and just curve that inward. This will probably have the same thing on the other side. So we got one more side to go here. Appreciate you guys watching all the way through here. I have been super fortunate with tons of friends and family support. I have 2 videos out before this, and the amount of subscribers is kind of astonishing. Last I checked, I was at the mid 70s. I certainly never expected to get that where this fast, or maybe even at all, but I have watched YouTubers for years and years, and then, you know, I feel pretty confident in my crafting, and I'm like, well, why couldn't I share my stuff with, you know, it's not going to mean that I don't watch other crafters, because believe me, I watch them any chance I get. But I think that I have something that people might get out of my work, and I definitely have a character or personality that I hope everybody can enjoy. Probably as I go, I'll be less nervous, more myself. You guys will get to know my personality. Some people will leave because maybe they don't care for that personality, but I'm hoping you guys stick around. I've enjoyed this immensely. I can't begin to tell you what it's meant to me personally to have this adventure start, and I just look forward to many more videos to come. And certainly if you're new and you're following this, go back and watch the part 1 of making the signatures. I'd love if you subscribe to my channel, and it helps me get exposure if you hit that like button, your subscription, and even comments. I don't know if people know this, but hitting the like button for people and commenting is huge for YouTubers. I know it seems tedious sometimes, but if you took the time to watch the video, I mean, it takes like 10 seconds. You can just be like, great job, or you suck. No, just kidding. But, you know, give someone a comment and let them know, you know, what it is you enjoy about them, what you'd like to see more of, what views you weren't seeing, what did I do that I could have done better for you. Or, you know, if I sewed this binding in and you're like, what the heck was she doing? Link me a video, and I would be happy to learn new tools or quicker ways of doing stuff. So, all right, I think this Fabri-Tac glue is done for right now anyway. We have this messy looking inside, which we're about to clean up, and this beautiful exterior book, and look at how nice this is turning out. I'm so excited right now. This is the first time I've ever done a hardback. This is the first time I've ever sewn signatures into a book like this. So I'm really excited right now that this is turning out. Now, I am going to be gluing, let me think here. Yes, I'm gluing these panels on next. And then finally, I will be gluing this into the book. And then on our next video, I'll be, I'm going to cover these edges with some more lace, probably, to kind of make that seam disappear. And see if we can blend this a little bit more for that, that strong blue in the background. So I'm going to set the signatures aside. Let's do a couple more steps together. For this, I guess, oh man, I'm bringing out the Fabri-Tac again. I didn't even think about it, but I probably am going to use that on this paper as well, especially around the edges, because I want this paper to really stick to that fabric. And the art glitter glue, paper to paper, I'd say art glitter glue, but since we're going fabric here, I am going to use this Fabri-Tac again. And I hope you guys can see, yeah, you're in view here. I'm going all the way around the edge first. God, this stuff is sticky, it just gets everywhere. And I already tore my contact paper on my desk. This is my new contact paper. Tore that with my nail trying to get this sticky stuff off. And strings. Okay, we got this. Now I want to just make sure my words on here are upright. And then I'm going to go out because I know that fabric's going to cover the inside. I'm more worried about these outside edges. And I'm just going to press this down right here. along this. Just make sure all of my edges, we can even bring this guy back in and push this flat, get it really creased, not creased, you know what I mean, pressed down to these edges and attached. I don't want any of this coming up later, so. And I think, yeah, that's okay. All right. Next one. This paper is from it's a Authentique. It is a little bit pricier paper, but gosh, the style that Authentique has is just right up my alley. I love it so much. So it's hard when I see it not to buy it, and this was one that I just could barely resist. So I got it twice, and I bought it in yellow. I got blue twice and yellow once. So it is what it is. All right, we are almost done here with this. I'm going to bring this book back in, and this, I want the words to go upside down because I've turned my book. And we're going to get this right to the edges there. Kind of want to make sure that it matches up to the other side as well with where I lay it, because I want this to be, you know, lined up. And I'm just going to push my glue out to these edges to really get it to lay down against this fabric. All right. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. We're going to be gluing this signature in, or the signatures. So I have all these strings down here. I haven't decided if I want to cut these off or if I'm going to put dangles on, so I'm leaving those for right now. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put a ton of glue in here in this area of the book, and I'm going to come in and push my binding into the spot that I want it in. I'm going to make sure that before I do that my pages are the right side up, and they are. And then I'll come back in and tack down this fabric on the side, and then I'm going to bring this together. I'm going to put a binder clip, I don't know if this one's going to be big enough, but I'll put a binder clip over the edge, and we will let it sit there and glue that binding in until we meet again. So let's get this guy out of here. I'm going to get that Fabri-Tac out again, and we're going to get a whole bunch in here because I want this to really stick down. I'm not even sure if Fabri-Tac's what you would want to use in this, but because I have fabric at these edges here, I'm going to. There's probably, like, I don't know, PVA glue is what I've heard works, and there's probably all sorts of things. I'm trying this. If you guys use another glue for this part of it, I would really like to know, because I want to, you know, I want to improve my skills and learn new things as well. So get that little excess off. All right, one more time. Check that your pages are right side up. Check that I can tell that I'm right side up because this writing is the right side up. So I'm going to hold my fabric, and I'm going to put this in here, because this Fabri-Tac is not going to give us much time to move around. And I'm going to make sure on both sides that I am in the groove, and I'm going to push this fabric down around my book binding here. We're going to glue it flat in a minute, and I'm just really pushing this down. I want this to grab all the way around. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tack Oops, of course it's gonna come off. Why wouldn't it? All right, we might have to tack these edges down later. I might just leave this because I really want this to stick really well. So I might just leave good enough alone, and we'll tack those down next time. But all right, we are gonna just leave that there. I'm going to use a couple binder clips and try to clip this. These aren't binder clips, they're fancy clips, but binder clips would do the exact same thing. And that's where we're gonna leave off today. So, you know, things aren't perfect. I'm already nitpicking my work. I think all of us crafters do this, and that's how we improve down the road. But I can see, like, this is an inch here, and it's like, you know, 3/4 of an inch or less here, you know, and that bugs me a little bit, but not enough. I can always lay something else over this. I can make something over here to be distracting. I could put flowers down here. We could do so much with this. I'm not worried about it at this point, but I am noticing, you know, I notice those things about my own work. I think we all do, but we always say, you know, if you want something perfect, you're going to buy it from the store. If you want something that someone's going to feel came from your heart, you can make it yourself. And on that note, I'm going to leave you. This is the end of part 2, and we will continue with part 3, hopefully within a week or so here. So I really do thank you all for joining. Please, again, hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you soon. Thank you.